Amerindian, African, and Spanish in one. So they were not actually just Spanish people. And that's how I came up with the name, the Coco Payol Museum. Now, basically, when I was operating that project in Tabakit, and I saw the enthusiasm of the elders when they visited, how quickly they would have relived their early years, it sparked something in me. When I saw the interest in the younger ones, it also told me that at some point in time, this geographical setting needed a permanent museum.
I just want to interrupt you for a short while. You know, earlier today we did tour a museum. I have it on video, but the amount of things we did here this afternoon, it is still downloading, and it will be ready in a few, in a couple minutes. And well, for the viewers outside, they will be seeing video shots of the museum and all the areas we went to. Plenty place to cover.
Yes, so the permanent museum is what I had in mind, and that is what I started to create. I moved my project from the school Tabakit where I teach, and I brought it to my home at Flanagan Town, and that is where the project has been prospering for the past 5 years. Now, the artifacts range from recent artifacts, and I would say recent, maybe from my childhood and Mr. Awong's childhood. we will call it recent. Right? To things that are probably as old as 150 years. And they would have been things that people used in this area. They represent a wide variety of activities that people would have been engaged in throughout the decades when the foundations were being laid for these rural communities. Good. At present, I host tours at the museum, and people can book tours, make some plans with their groups and so on. We discuss what kind of services we offer. We discuss the history of the area, Flanagan Town, but because Flanagan Town is linked to all of the other areas, Los Atajos and the neighboring villages, we tend to speak a little bit also of the neighboring villages. For example, Los Atajos would have been one of the original Payol settlements in Trinidad from the 1800s. And these settlements would have come about because cocoa estates needed a lot of workers following the end of the apprenticeship period in 1838. So Los Atajos, some people will say Los Atajos. Los Atajos is actually the Patois way of saying it. Los Atajos would be the Spanish way of saying it. I'm not sure what explanation the residents of Los Atajos give with regards to the history of their village or the name. If you Google Los Atajos, you will come up with a translation shortcut. But from the writings of one of our elders who passed on recently, Mr. Henry Pereira, he would have intimated that there's the possibility that the name Los Atajos could have been a corruption of the word tasajo. When the Payols came to these areas, tasajo or dried horse meat was one of their specialty. So if you couldn't say the word properly and you were saying Los Tasajo, in a quick way it probably became Los Atajos. And that's how the name probably came about. So there are many stories that we do tell at the museum, not just, as I said, of Flanagan Town, but of the other areas as well. Brasso Venado, of course, Brasso Benau is the Patois pronunciation. And while we're on that point, Patois is one of the indigenous languages. Some of us know a few words. Councilor Awong will teach you a few things in a while, maybe. Maybe things that his grandmother taught him. Yeah. That Sase? Chalet? Right, I can't understand everything in Patois. Sase means that is. Heat. Okay. Right. So we do those tours, we do demonstration sessions such as traditional ways of preparing coffee, cocoa, hops bread in galvanized oven on a pitch oil stove. We try to expose the visitors to those traditional practices. And with the 2 years that we would have been locked down for COVID, our Trinbago people suddenly realized that we had a lot of value within our own country that we could get back to, which is why people were looking forward to things like traditional bread, traditional chocolate, coffee, and so on. They weren't too much interested in the things that were on the commercial outside. Good, so we tend to focus on those things. Now, apart from keeping visitors within the museum there and giving them a tour, telling them some of the stories related to the artifacts, we try to encourage them to take a drive up the hill here, to enjoy the scenery as well. Sometimes the villagers might see some maxi taxis coming up. They most likely would have been visitors from the museum. We do get a lot of visitors from the National Heritage Trust and other people as well. One of the places they also go to would be the weather station further on. Okay, so we do encourage our visitors to explore the other villages around, not just Flanagan Town and not just our museum. Right. Apart from what we are offering, there are people in the area, people who are visiting, who have other interests, which we are not at this point able to provide. And I'm saying it sitting here in Los Atajos because there was the need at one point in time to link some visitors with one of the villagers here because they needed to get a hike to Choro. Choro itself has rich history, and the outsiders were looking for not just a hike but a bathing area. And if Los Atajos could explore that possibility of creating a permanent scenario or permanent arrangement, then I can always refer people up to this side. They are looking forward to that. There are things that we are not able to provide as much for the visitors the way they need it, and one of that is cocoa and coffee. Recently, I could not get cocoa from the farmers around because they were selling to the cooperative, so I had to get myself all the way up to Aripo to get some cocoa beans. Coffee is in short supply. We know the story and the history behind present-day agriculture, which is creating the problems. But if Los Atajos could get itself back into coffee production, there is a large market from the local tourists coming in. Okay? The museum attracts over 1,000 visitors for the year. At least that was my record for last year. The numbers would have been hindered by the weather at the end of the year and maneuverability because of road conditions. So the museum does attract a lot of people, and as I said, we try to spread the love around to the neighboring villages. As far as the future plans are concerned for the museum, we do have to get into the process of registration, the legal aspect of things, and then later on look at the possibility of a building, because as you would have seen and some of the visitors, I have outgrown my space, and I have now moved part of the museum into my living room. So visitors find themselves inside my home.
So I was about to ask, but I said I'll wait till they finish. So as you speak, the museum is not advertised for the international community as yet?
We do have some international visitors. Sometimes we get, well, within recent times we have had a visitor from China, Seattle, Malawi, Nigeria, some England, some Canada, some from the smaller islands.
Is there any sort of assistance from the Ministry of Tourism in respect to the museum?
At present, the whole thing is dependent upon our registration as a non-profit organization. Okay, we know the laws related to that.
Right.
So we don't need to go into that discussion right now. But
so let me ask the next question.
Yeah.
What drive you with that vision to start this museum?
I always enjoy what I'm doing. Deep down inside, I mean, the councilor and the villagers pass by and see me doing certain things, and then there are people who wonder, why am I doing that? Like cleaning the road or the drain in front of me?
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, it's someone else's duty, it's my passion. I enjoy seeing the way people react, the way people are happy when they come, and the passion drives me.
You want to give us a little synopsis as to how we go about booking a visit to the museum, whether it be a group, how we go about doing that?
Well,
What's the process?
my number is 7335701. You can get me on cell or on WhatsApp. If you don't get me on cell at a particular point in time, it might be because I'm in the classroom teaching.
Victor, unfortunately, you know, on our way here, our TV fell down and broke. And right now, the outside audience is seeing. And I just want to pause so that people could hear. Yeah, so our outside audience would be seeing the museum, the videos that we would have done.
And that's 2 hours even when we condense it.
Yeah, we promoted it as a part of the tourists come here, and we just promote it to the corporation as well through our local economic development initiative. Yeah. So I'm saying that Clyde here is a team all. We work along with him through our local economic development initiative at the Cuba Tabaqui Talpa Regional Corporation. As a matter of fact, we held some meetings with the National Tour Guides Association, and we told them, in no uncertain terms, we want to know when you come into this region. And I'll tell you why we said so. We told them that I don't want you coming from Port of Spain to my region and you're bringing food from town. When you come in here, you must let we can provide that here. We can experience our food here. And they agreed, and we started putting things, mechanism in place to make that work for the people in the area. Because I know you come and watch Clyde thing here, and when you come here, you're bringing your food from town. You know, so what benefit? How does it benefit the people around here? If let's say about 2 maxi load of people come in here, let's say that's about 40 persons, we can provide 40 lunch so that somebody in the community could get a job to provide that as well. You know, so that is the importance of us working along with people like Clive here to ensure that the community benefit through these tour guides and so on, right?
But from what I'm seeing here, this could very well take on something of a national heritage site. Is there any sort of allocation, at least from your, if children come here, they want to know all them big black CDs in the back there?
But that's exactly how they call them.
I doubt people will know about this fountaining pen.
But it's important to like just
Yeah, the cocoa shovel and the rabo, these actual pieces are close to or just over 100 years. They came from the estates around here. One piece of material, hand carved, no joining, cedar. And they are used in the cocoa houses for spreading as well as for heaping up the cocoa. You can even work it with the coffee as well. Sometimes when people dancing the cocoa and it spreads out, you need somebody to heap it back up and they use the shovel. Right, so as you were asking me there, people can also contact me on my Facebook page, and we do get a lot of bookings via Facebook. Okay, so I do explore the social media audience out there, and it benefits us.
Right, so thank you very much. What we will do actually is have the numbers outside, if we can put it up at your convenience so people on the outside can know how they get in contact with Clyde and so on to place their booking to have a visit to this area. So be that as it may, we want to thank you very much for spending this little time with us this afternoon. And because of time constraint, you know, we just can't go further into it. So thanks a lot for your
You're welcome, and thanks
vision,
for having me.
and you will hear from me.
Yes, thank you very much.
Back to you.
Thank you very
Chairman.
much, Clive, and let's give Clive a little nice presentation. At this point in time, I want to introduce someone who I work very closely with in the electoral district of Piparo, San Pedro, Tabaquite, as well as the constituency of Tabaquite. She is also the secretary of the Tabaquite constituency executive. I give to you now Ms. Maria Pierre. And she's been She's making her debut tonight.
Hi, Mr. Victor.
Okay.
Good evening. A special good evening to Chairman Henry Wong, Councilor John Lizama, Facts and
Not
Fiction
fiction.
host Victor Roberts. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening I will ask to speak about ladies in rural communities, right? Women in rural community. So I just want to say a special acknowledgement to all ladies here from Los Atajos tonight and environ. Tonight my job here is to shine the light on us, right? To highlight the need for policies and to empower women in rural communities. As you all would know from personal experience, rural women wear many hats. As a result, many of us are entrepreneurs by default. Growing up in a rural area, we know about going to the seamstress or who would sew our school uniforms, church clothes, and so on. There would often be a village mother we would go to for help with any ailment, and she would provide what we all call bush medicine, solution for whatever was troubling us. Living far away from the main towns also means far from grocery stores. Not many of us grew up with car in the household. If you were lucky, you could get the bus to go and come back, but we could always count on the parlor to provide us with necessities. Most times, it would be a woman running the shop. When it comes to taking care of the church house or temple grounds, the women were the ones who would take time from their day and ensure that these places were always organized and maintained. There are many more examples, and I wish I had the time to go down the list, but I know that you know what I'm talking about. So you might be asking yourself, well, if we rural women so capable and could do all of that, what is this talk about empowerment? What empowerment we need? Well, consider this. If we have done all this on our own, imagine what we could do if we had supportive policies. Imagine what we could achieve. This is not a talk about hands out, not at all. This is not what we are about. We are self-starters. We always look to find a way and provide for ourselves. It's not about handouts. It's about opportunities to make a decent living and better our community generation by generation. We have so many avenues for small businesses in rural areas. Agriculture is a big one. Not only do we feed ourselves, our farmers also stock markets and groceries with their goods. There are many opportunities for local and ecotourism. Not very far from here, we have the highest point in the Central Range. We also have various nature and estate trails. There are many women with art and craft talents, clothes making ability, knowledge of preparing traditional delicacies, and the list goes on. But we need access to a wider market. We need policies that support our efforts for economic advancement. Firstly, we need institutional support. This could be at the level of local government or through ministerial outreach programs. It would include, for example, help to build capacity and earn recognized certification. Guidance on how persons can use their talents or skill to earn living would be open a wider window of opportunity of many. Policies that provide asset building and expansion would also go a long way in empowering rural women. What do I mean by that? Well, if you want to open a business, there may be tools or equipment that you need to get started. Access to funding, whether as a grant or a low-interest loan, would help many rural residents in purchasing the tools or equipment needed in order to establish a business. For businesses that are already established, further business support can help them grow. For example, the development of activities that generate income. I mentioned ecotourism earlier. This field can generate income in many ways: transportation, tour guides, the opportunity to sell crafts and food, etc. With the help of government policies, we can expand our market by getting more people to visit our communities on a regular basis and purchase our goods and services. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And as a matter of fact, these are policies that larger businesses already benefit from. So why not extend these same support lines to rural communities? Why not help us maximize our potential? I don't think anyone would disagree with me when I say that rural women play a big role in social and economic transformation. The United National Congress recognizes this role and has shown our commitment to elevating rural women and rural communities. That kind of inclusive vision and leadership is absent from the PNM, from this present PNM administration. Tonight, we are in Tabakit, and I can't speak for us here, but I know many rural areas across TNT feel the same. Under this government, we are forgotten communities. We feel neglected. We are not being considered in national development. In 2023, we are still begging for basics. Look at the states of our roads. Look at the collapsing wooden bridges we have to cross. Our MP, Ms. Anita Haynes, is always fighting on our behalf for the roads to be fixed, for our taps to have water, for our children to get to school safely. But the uncaring government at the helm turns a blind eye to our struggles. Their conscience doesn't bother them. They don't business with what's going on with our communities, with communities like ours. And that is why tonight I call on you to stand strong with the United National Congress as we continue our fight. Our political leader, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, always calls on us to serve the people. Well, you know she is a rural woman too. She is from Superior. So she knows what it is she always speaks about. We rural women know about true service to the people. We know about building people, helping them to help themselves. And with some assistance at the policy level, with policies that empower us to be even more self-reliant, we will be able to do that on an even larger scale. Thank you.
And you are right, because when you look at these cities and boroughs in this country, even the capital, and the condition that this government and the dilapidated state that we are in today, I could only imagine what is happening in these rural communities as I came here today. And I will leave that for later on, but I am so dissatisfied with what I have seen on the journey to come up here. I think that the Minister of Local Government and the Minister of Works and Transport, they are two shameless individuals. So thank you very much, and we do enjoy your style. Okay?
Let's give Maria a lusty round of applause for that delivery. At this point in time, I want to call another young man from this community, the adjoining community of Brasso Bernardo. That is our sister village, Brasso Bernardo. He is a farmer. He has been doing farming for probably all his life. Right? I just want to introduce at this point in time, Simbanat Ramratsan. Right? We know him here as DK. He'll talk a little bit about the little struggles about farmers, etc. Right?
Yeah. Welcome.
Good night, everybody. Mr. Chairman and sir.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Villagers. Well, me, I don't nothing to talk about here, right? Nobody don't really hear me talk and think too much. But I go speak from my heart as a farmer. I've been in agriculture for about 32 years already. I'm 48 now. So almost all my life, my adult life. And right now, well, the young lady speak a lot about our problems there already. Right now, agriculture in Trinidad and Tobago is not easy. For young farmers who want to come in, it's not easy. I've been doing it for so long, and sometimes I just feel to come out of it. Because right now, like fertilizers price, it gone up by 300% in the last year and a half. 300%. I'll give you a little example. A bag of blocon we used to pay like 12, 17 too. We used to pay $300 last year, this time. We're paying $620 right now. Fertilizer. $620, that is just blocon. That is the most important fertilizer we use to get a nice black bygone and them kind of thing. Urea, making right here in Trinidad. We used to pay $40 a bag when I now start to make garden. We pay up to $500 a bag last year. Well, it make a little drop back now. Right now we're paying $360. Yeah. So what's the price on $40 the way it went? Last year, a year and a half, we were paying $140 compared to now. Well, don't talk about we access roads for to these farms. If you see, well, you see the main road, so you can imagine the access road on them. They're terrible. Well, the chairman, they come and check out some yesterday and think they do a visit and thing. But I just feel sorry for the chairman. I know if the chairman get any funds, they go fix the road for you. Yeah, but like the staff in the corporation, I tell you, same thing we used to say.
So how we all make out in terms of the prices in the market with produce now? Because I saw recently that, for instance, bygone went up to about $22 a pound.
Yeah.
And I also saw where pumpkin was at $17 and so on. But how it works in comparison to what you're paying for fertilizer and to keep the crop coming as to how it normally work out in the market?
Right. Now, the citizens just complain when they had to pay high price for goods. But the money we spending right now, if goods sell cheap, we running on our bus. It's better here plant. Goods have to sell expensive. Otherwise, the farmers go give up on it.
Will you get assistance from the Ministry of Agriculture in terms of providing any form of subsidy or making it easy for loans and things from the ADB and so on?
Yeah, loans and things doesn't be so hard to get the higher requirements. Yeah, like you have to copy your deeds and them kind of thing. Most of the farmers have no tenure to land, no land tenure. So most of them just get problem when they go, you're going to ADB, and if you don't have a deed to show, you're getting nothing. Most of, like in Grassroots and other, most of the people in state land. So you have requirements. Now, on the other hand, I have some land. 75 acres private land I work in right now. And to sustain that 75 acres, it's easy.
So how the government would expect the farmers to succeed in this country? Because we have seen from I don't know why Vasant Bharat come to my mind. We have seen from the former Minister of Agriculture, and we have seen Avinash Singh, we have seen actually, what's his name, former minister who only put in charge of state land now?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All of them is idiot.
Yeah, we have seen no policy in terms of agriculture to generate and to boost the agriculture sector in this country. I don't know if it's because we utilize the importation for bribe and to get kickbacks and to benefit ourselves. I know that there was once a regularization program between 2010 and 2015 to regularize farmers on state land, and to give them some kind of a tenure where they would have documentation, where they would be able to go to the ADB and access equipment and access funding for projects and so on. And it seems like all that going down the drain. So I don't know how the country going to make out in a whole. Now we have an ex-joker they call Kazim Hussein, which is worse than all the former ministers of agriculture. Worse, because from where I sit and from where I'm concerned, I think that Kazim Hussein is more dunce than all of them. So to the end of the day, where does it leave the farmer? How would the farmer survive when we have this kind of prices in terms of fertilizer and so on, and the non-availability of funding for projects. So we are in a place where basically the consumer will have to pay the price, because when the farmer go through that distance to bring a crop, to the end of the day, he have to ensure that there is some kind of return come back to the capital.
Yeah, because to get your, if you start a plant today, right, it takes 60 to 70 days before you start to reap. You have to treat that plant like a little child, take care of that child to get adult to bear. And it's the same thing with a plant. So when you, if you spend X amount of money, you spend $30,000 in a crop. That is a small crop. And when time to go to the market now, you're getting under, you're making under that. What sense you making garden for?
Trouble.
Yeah. And our next problem we have, and watch me, you see where the minister them come out and they say that they will pay $5 a pound for snail, the African snail. That destroying the garden right now. Watch me, it's infested all over the country. It's one of the biggest problems we have right now. And that is an insult to farmers by paying people $5 to come and pick up snail. Why them can buy bait that have a bait, a slug bait for it, and distribute for the farmers, and not only the farmers and the people, the citizens in the country, to eradicate that. That is a big problem, and in 5 to 10 years from now, we have no food in Trinidad if they are dealing with it now.
Added to that, we still have the locust problem, because down in my area, you see how the rain started to ease up there? They're starting to come out by the millions. And when them pass through, but I think the snail catching is a good thing, but I think the people in the country catching the wrong snail. They're supposed to catch Rowley and Kazim Hussein. Them is the snails and them that they're supposed to catch. But if you had to tell the minister something tonight, what you will tell the minister? In terms of agriculture, what you feel you will want to tell Kazim Hussein?
Well, here what I got to tell Kazim Hussein, right? When they allocate some, how much they allocate for agriculture, they say? I think they say they raise it by $100 million, right? When they allocate a sum of money for agriculture, make sure it get somehow to the farmers, them who put in food on the table. You see, when you're going to the Ministry of Agriculture currently, watch all the Prados and them pack up there. That is for the big boys inside. Not one of them is sweating, picking up pepper or nothing. So when we apply for subsidy, let me tell you something tonight. They just give you $3,000 a maximum for chemical. They don't give nothing for fertilizer. $3,000 for chemicals. My chemicals bills for years about $200,000. What $3,000 could do to buy chemical? Nothing. So when the minister want to talk about funding for agriculture, make sure that the funding comes down to the farmer.
The 100 and 200 and 300 million that they would allocate for agriculture, you have to take out, if they allocate 300,000, take out 250,000. Because the minister to get his quota, he partner to get a quota, this one to get a quota. So to the end of the day, it might just be 50 million that coming down to the ground.
To the ground.
But the next 250, that jumping up way above the Prados. Way above the Prados. And that is the sad reality. But I think there is hope. The people in this country need to understand that the United National Congress have a plan to diversify agriculture in this country, and I think that the people need to give themselves a chance in order to get some kind of breathing space again. So we want to thank you for the little time that you have this evening, and we do appreciate what you have shared with us today.
Gracias por Dicky. Everybody knows Dicky. At this point in time, I want to introduce another young man, well, sort of young man, from right here in the community of Los Atajos. There's no less a person than Jean-Marc Awong, and he have a little thing to share with us about how we can empower this community here.
Beautiful.
It's a special good evening to everybody.
Yes, sir. Welcome, welcome.
Mr. Chairman.
Welcome, welcome.
Well, Short and sweet tonight. I've been a resident of Los Atajos for the last 39 years, right? And all I've seen, yes, I understand that, yeah, we're looking at probably the negative side of things, right? Some of us look at the negative side of things, but I've seen positive within our community thus far, because say like 30 years ago, we never had like paved roads. Our road only got paved in 2010 when this radio station went up road, this meteorology center went up road there, ball, where tracking, and we started to get box drain. Yes, the road are in a little dilapidated condition right now, right? But I know Mr. Chairman, he's trying hard. Every time he's on the ground, he's hitting the ground. Again, once the corporation have material, we know that on our end everything is going to be all right. We never had things like street lights up here. So these are the positives that I see in my community, you understand? I remember we didn't have one street light, and we had two. One by Mama and one by Auntie Sylvia, by Auntie Vera. You don't know them, right? Right. And these were the two street lights that we had in our community, right? And then we stretch and we got street light all along this stretch here up to by Fats on the corner here. And now we have street light from Flanagan Town straight up the road. Right? So these are positives that I see within my community, right? But there's still a gap for me, and the gap for me is about education, right? Education. And I had this discussion with the chairman on about 1 or 2 occasions, and we were like, hey, we're going to highlight this issue, right? The youths is really a challenging thing to deal with. And for me, man, when I look at the village, we have like 53, I don't know where these youths came out from, right? We have like 53 youths within ranging between 5 years and 16 years, right, in this little community of Los Atajos. 24 houses in this community, if that much. Where all these youths come from?
What do you mean where they come from?
No, what I mean, yes, you know what I mean, right? But when we look at it on the road, we don't see it like that. Where these 53 youths come from? What are we going to do for these 53 youths? You understand? Yes, I understand that DK was talking about agriculture. Now, we are in the rural communities. The majority of us will go towards agriculture, right? Now, I understand that the agriculture sector is a really nice sector. It's something that I like and I admire personally, right? But it's just not my hands now, not my field, but I admire it. You understand what I'm saying? But not everybody is into the agriculture, right? Now, we have a center up here. And if you notice in the back here, we have a board here, right? And what had happened is that we have a young man in the community took it upon himself on a Tuesday evening to give some extra classes to younger guys. He's not going to take on tertiary education. He's not going to UB, right? He's doing sciences with these children who are in Form 1, Form 2 going up, right? Which is a positive for me, right? So we have like 3 rooms inside of here, and we have, when we look back and we look at now we say a child a school to make a child. Because a child could go to I just say in a junior sec, and a child could go to a convent, and at the end of the junior sec, child excel over the convent child. All the child will come out from convent probably a ring, we don't know after 7 years. But I have my belief and disbelief when it come to these things, right? Environment. School, for me, if you're not in the proper environment, we tend to have a problem. A child cannot focus. We in rural communities, yes. When you look at it, most of us, we are single parents, some who have, okay, we're fortunate if you have a father figure in the home, whatever the case may be. Mommy have to go out to work. Who's going to look after this child? Right? Who's going to spend all this attention behind this child? Mommy don't have money to send this child to do extra lessons on a Saturday. You understand? To elevate this child. When I look at the community, when last we got, I'm not going back to school, but when last we got a convent or a NAP, so these, you understand, these schools are talking about, you understand? You expose your child to this type of education, higher level of education, right? And what we want to drive in this center is we want to target from like children in standard 2. As I say, we have 52 children here. We have 41 who are between 5 and 11. Listen to the numbers, right? Big numbers. They range between Brasso Venado Government School, we have Flanagan RC School, and Caparo RC School. So this is where we filter through, right? This is where the children are. How are we going to take care of these children? So we were thinking, right, I'm going to stray a little bit here. We have an active cricket club, which Mr. Chairman is active in that club, right? Kudos to him. And we were looking at September coming to start a drive, starting from standard 2 maybe on a Saturday, standard 3 on a Saturday, Standard 4 on a Saturday, because we have enough room for that. And for Standard 5 students, we have 2 days per week. But the challenge we're going to face ourselves with here is tutoring, teachers. There's only this much that parents can do. You understand what I'm saying? Because as the level of education gets higher, the work tends to get harder. You understand? So we need tutoring. We need that assistance. So we come back with the club again that we want to do a drive. We're going to continue doing all fundraising. This was already discussed with the panel on the club. We're going to do some fundraising on these things. And we're going to try on our end. We know how the situation is when it comes to the politics, and we know about it, right? We're not going to stray along that, and we're not going to make that hamper our community from trying to elevate the young ones to come up, right? We're not going to do that. But if we get the assistance, and this is what we are looking for, or the guidance, how we could go along that path to get tutoring, to come into the community, to help the young ones, we really appreciate this. We have the back there, as discussed with Mr. Chairman, we have a place we could put a shed, because we have these young men between 11 and 16 years who we have a few guys here like mechanics, you know.
Right.
Nobody are digging up in carburetor and thing again, everything gone
hybrid,
you understand? So if we could help these guys and, you understand, plumbers and all these things, that will be really appreciative on our end. But we are going to do our part as a community, right, to start this drive, because I was going to pass around, but I personally was going to pass around by each house and ask for, if it's a $25 a month towards paying these teachers. We have people who are willing to give $100 also, $200, just to cover this cost for teachers to help these young ones. You understand? Because I personally want to see 2 doctors in the community. Next 30 years, I walking with my stick just now, you understand? I don't want to be going down to Mongtuk. I could walk around the corner and say, hey, check them out. Yeah. This kind of thing, you understand? So it will be nice. It will be really, really nice if we have a drive and we get the guidance from you all to assist us as the community of Los Atajos, Brasso-Benau, and Al Sendo. We will like that, honestly.
And while I don't want you to stray, I will stray. and this is one of the reasons why I am into politics. I am into politics not because I like politics, you know, because I being frank with you, politics is something I do like. You know why? Let me tell you why tonight. But I am in politics for the poor, the oppressed, and the downtrodden. And I really, really angry with this government, and I'm going to tell you why I go in there. During 2010 and between 2010 and 2015, the government of the day had established all the necessary institutions to help the same children that you're speaking about. We had kindergarten, we had early childhood, we had MIC, we had NESC, we had all the programs. And a government came into power by talking the former government that they're going to do better. And when we would expect that the programs that was working in the interest of the child, to help that same child to elevate, the same children who could not pass the mark with the C exam because of the failure of the government by simply cutting our laptop program. So my point I'm making is this: we would have expected the government to come into power and utilize what was already there and make it better. Because if you were saying that the government before wasn't doing good, you come into power, all these educational organizations were up and running. We had a drilling school, we had the aviation school, we had, all was there. And our government came into power and within the first year shut down 90% of the educational systems. Now, this is what have me very much angry, because as you rightly saying, not only did this stop the educational programs, but they also lick up the employment sector. So when a parent who have to go out there and hustle to get $1, especially with some of the worthless men, it am worthless women too, so who feel I leaving them out?
Oh, man and man.
Right, all right. But when you have single parent and you have a mother who have to provide for 3 children. Let's just say 3. And to the end of the day, she still had to go and look for a job. Then, I mean, where would these children, as you rightly say, ascertain that level of care in terms of guidance in education? So, I hear you. I am prepared to work with you. I am prepared to stand up with you, to do whatever I could do within my power. Because I know much of them fellas have more power than me, right? But whatever I could do by using this platform, I will. Because when you have time, you must send my friend me request, Victor Roberts. Okay. And you must go up and you will see what I into. I am speaking about books drive, this drive, and not with the help of PNM, UNC, or nobody, you know. With the help of me and my children and them. Right? We just do what we have to do to make things happen. And I really appreciate the angle in which you take. And I think that with Henry Awong, and don't afraid, call me too if you find that you ain't ready performing.
No, I have no...
Call me and say, hey.
I've been straight, I have no problem.
Well, right. No, don't say that because you're watching in.
No, I have no
problem. Good. Yeah, Henry is a good one. But I mean, to the end of the day, this should be all of us concerned, because while there's challenges with the youth, the challenges didn't just happen overnight. These challenges started over a period of time. And in order to fix the problem, yes, it will take a period of time, but we have to formulate a holistic plan to deal with it. So I appreciate your sentiment here tonight. My number is 3164468. You could go back on the live and get it. It will be there.
Nice.
Call me, and we could do what we have to do to make things happen.
All right.
So thank you very much for your time.
Right?
All right?
Okay.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jean-Marc, for your contribution. At this point in time, I want to call on my colleague now, Councilor John Lizama. He's part councillor for this community of Los Atajos as well. And we both share this area. So I give to you no less a person than my colleague, Councilor John Lizama. Let's hear it for him.
Welcome, Councilor Lizama. And let me just tell the public one time. Councilor Lizama get a phone call here this evening. And you know what I like? By the time he watched the number, he was able to tell us what is the problem. And what that tells us, Archie, is that this councillor have to be in touch with his people. So I want to commend you on that here this afternoon.
Thank you so much. Victor, I listen. A pleasant good night to each and everyone, Chairman of the Corporation, and thanking you all for giving us the opportunity up in this small rural community called Los Atajos. Now, everybody you see here is from this area.
Right.
And you know, we grew up in when we say we, I also come from a rural community, so I could relate to how this is. But sometimes, Victor, when I sit down and I watch how today these people living in this community, to be honest, if I wasn't on a program like this, that people will hear what I have to say, it really would make time that, you know, you use some language that is not nice.
Yeah.
Because when you sit down here, you hear in a farmer, the farmer talking about, but he can't even get an access road to his farm, but you want him to farm. You hear the youth talking about things for the youth, but they don't even have a recreation ground. And you keep asking yourself, how on earth that these people, you telling me you are left them behind? The Brasso Venado School, which is a stone throw from here, which form part of this community, right? That school have been shut down since last year with the rain. I think it's only just the ending of January, the school come back up. And this is what the children of these areas face on a daily basis. And you telling me, it's something I ask myself, how on earth a man living in this community could really go at an election time call and you take up and vote for PNM? This is the biggest failure that this government keep telling people about they're doing better. Like I hear keep banding a talk than telling me you're doing more with less. Ashita galvanized just $300 and something when you was paying just the other day a galvanized $400, and you could tell me you could build a house with less. And this is I don't want to confess.
The sad thing about that, Councilor, you know people actually believe that. There's people in the population who will believe them idiotic statement by this government. I'm talking about believe it.
Victor, I on the ground on a daily basis. I have no rest. I have no rest in terms of trying to help people out. The first thing somebody call is the councillor. They never call the MP. The first person they call is the councillor. The councillor had to do this, the councillor had to do this. And you hear this man talking about he went and catch a landslip. Well, I don't know if that was a ball. He went and catch a landslip. The chairman will tell you what we go through and thing and telling you about funding. Just imagine you give us $25,000 to fix cricket ground. The chairman will tell you how much cricket ground in the region. And this is what we are faced on a daily basis. And you hearing them come selling these kind of thing on the radio, and you hearing people buying that. And we have fundamental, and when you hear people talking about the UNC and the PNM is the same. The fundamental difference between PNM and UNC born out of a struggle for poor people, and they will always support poor people. This government, what you're talking about, they know nothing about that. They know nothing, absolutely nothing about it. Yet, Mr. Timon talk about his
establishment.
Yeah. Now you tell me, this thing could generate income, not only for him, because he could get hired, the same young people from the district, to do certain things in that same museum.
Right.
Why they're not looking at that? It have one set of teak all around this area. You have a proper teak industry. Why you can't develop that? You bring in people from south to buy the teak up here to do it in a sawmill, and these people here struggling. They even have a proper road, and you telling me about you think you care about people? Sometimes I tell you, it pains me on a daily basis when you hear go to the council and you have to ask this and ask that, and they tell you no funding, and you are going and sending this and sending that to get something. And we had this long come back and to relate to the people. That how much time? I the other day I tell a man, one of these days they'll pelt man, they run behind with water. They might pelt me down with stone and I have to run. Because I keep coming and giving you the same story over and over. And this is what we are faced with, and I keep telling people, get rid of this government until, according to the saying, if you get rid of this government, we will always. Them like a millstone over our necks.
Councilor, I think the people also have to take part of the blame for what's happening.
Obviously.
Because let me tell you this. I don't know if people lost their fortitude. I remember as a boy growing up, when we couldn't get water in a pipe, my father, Mr. Grant, Mr. Mendoza, and some other folks, they would mobilize Jacob Settlement, Santa Flora. And let me tell you something. Within the next few hours, you will see truck bringing water. But I have seen, I don't know what happened to Trinidad and Tobagonians. I have seen people taking the worst and still have nothing to say and still feeling that better comment. I don't know for what reason. I don't know if it's a mindset now that we just give up, we just surrender. But we just cannot continue like this. We have to do what is necessary to get justice in this country.
Let me show you something, Victor. Coming up last Saturday, you check about 4 landslip on Telemark Hill. Right? I have been trying to fix a landslip for more than 3 years now. Taking my allowance, what they call, I end up taking his own a year to fix that landslip, and up to now I can't fix it. That landslip there, the first one what we are attempting to fix it, that costing over $500,000. It's crossing $500,000 already, and I still get funding to fix it. And you telling me about, you going on TV and boasting that local government, they had to change and all kind of thing. Who is the cause of local government failure? If you were giving us funds, how you fund it?
Well, that is the whole idea. Let me tell you what the government doing that people not seeing. If the government want to close down petrol train, they will get that board behind me and they will paint that picture. They will starve petrol train. They will ensure that everything work to the negative in order to succeed. When I hear this government speaks of local government reform, that is just a farce because the government have a bigger plan behind the scene. And it's sad enough that the people in the country not opening their eyes to see what's happening. The government actually telling you have food in your kitchen. You pulling the cupboard curtain or you opening the cupboard doors and you seeing inside have nothing. But yet they allowing the government to convince them that there is something there. I am telling you, that is what is happening in this country.
It is sad that that year in, year go, the folks at this area keep suffering. Last year in November, the ending of November, hard rain. Is landslip in these areas, flooding. Not one of these person are almost sure about that they get any help of that $40 million what they talk about and nothing. I'm sure that they ain't get nothing. Not an officer from any government department, more or less than the DMU department in the corporation, visit anybody up here. And this is what I'm telling you, and these people just keep suffering. They will always remain at a disadvantage. You hear when the gentleman say what year this road was paved and what it paved. Ask them what year they receive water, pipe-borne water supply up here. Navet Dam is a stone throw away from here.
Let me ask you a question, Councilor. Asking you a hard, easy question. Hard, easy. Within all that going on here, within all, landslip, no water, no this, no access road, no whatever. The people in your electoral district, these people ready to stand up to demand that fairness and justice come to Los Atajos?
Well, I would say so. I don't want, because as I said before, I on the ground, listening to the people, and almost every individual you spoke to is staying harder. And it's time to get this waste of time government out of office.
But brother, it wouldn't happen by just saying it.
No, well, this is what I said. So you see, what I tell you, Victor, being on the ground every day, talking to people every day, and that you remember the you that spoke before me give you an idea that you have to keep going, pressing, and that is the only way. But change doesn't come with old people, no. Change wouldn't come with old people, according to say like people like me and who reach almost in the senior citizen stage. Change don't come so no. Change come with you.
That's correct that statement. See that part of the statement there? Old people like me and you correct that statement. Right? Correct that part there. Yeah, that part there.
But you understand what I'm saying? The change come with the younger set that that way they work. You see, based with this government, you have seen our future. That's the bottom line. You're not seeing our future. If you deprive little children at school, what you will expect to get? You will expect to get everybody. What am I asking something? You want everybody who live in this area go back to now. I ain't have no dispute with the cocoa and coffee now, because that cocoa and coffee now is king. But let me ask you something. Would you encourage every little child that live in this area to fall back to that? If you draw the line?
Right. But when would they start to benefit from it?
They will benefit it. But then again, it have anything put down there that they could benefit anything in that 25 years?
Right. So the point I'm making is this. I am 56 years.
Mm-hmm. And you just give me one sort of old too?
I am 56 years young. And let me tell you something. Our children, I take a coffin from Erin, and I take 4 days walking. Look at they actually film the whole thing. Straight by the Alsing house. Straight to Portersville. And I carry that coffin by the Alsing house to demonstrate the negligence in relation to the amount of COVID-19 deaths that we was getting in this country. Listen what I'm telling you. I am one of the individuals in this country will stand up and fight. Joshua in the back there, Chantel in the back there. Joshua is 16 years. My last son is 10 years. And let me tell you something, brother. I am one of the individuals in this country that will stand up and fight till death for fairness, justice, and equity.
And
until people in this country realize that the resources of the country belongs to them and not the government. You see, we have some kind of brainwash philosophy that the government in charge. The government in charge because we put them in charge. And we put them in charge and we never demand accountability from government. And when it doesn't demand accountability from government, the same government that you put is the same government that punishing you. And it's the same government that have you quiet and dumb and docile while they benefit. And as my friends say, they're driving the fancy vehicle, the nice Prado, they're eating nice, they're drinking nice. They get sick today, Rowley just jump on a plane and go straight California. Best healthcare. While Terence Yalsing and Rowley self telling you the best healthcare in the world is Trinidad and Tobago. But as them get sick, they jump on a plane. And the people in this country take that. And the people in this country support that until the people of this country decide to stand up for themselves and to stand up for what is right and to stand up for those who standing up with them is until the government will continue to give them pressure, because if they believe pressure finish. Rowley started by saying fasten your seatbelt, tighten your belt. Remember that night in Balize House speech in 2015? He said tighten your belt. The last election 2020, he come and he tell you challenging times ahead. And he come back yesterday now and telling we now that
the rough days
and what? Why?
You see,
because I come like you, I doesn't use
I don't know. I tell you, I just tell you back because before I wrap up, the same way you telling them he could jump in a plane, these people could hardly even jump in a car because the condition of the road, and then you rolling down the road. These people, them is poor people that to drop their little children to school. You think them could hire a bus or something? But license officers down the road waiting for you to charge you. You tell me this? You tell me it's fair?
That is the evil. That is the evil.
I tell you, I want to. I will cost. So let me leave your program before I say things that I could get locked up for. So let me think. But nevertheless, as I said once more, glad for all you have it all in this community that people could voice their opinion and see what the folks of this area go through on a daily basis.
Councilor, let me tell you something before you go. You want to see an election in this country next week? Let me tell you why. We have 1.4 million people here. Let 25,000 people take the streets of Portersville and you will see our election will call. But you know what? No belly. Plenty talk. You were saying that election change doesn't come with old people, but I want to add something with that. Change ain't coming with old talk neither.
That's it.
You understand?
That is the fundamental thing. Change don't come with old talk. You see all this shit we sit down behind here, and then when time to come out, I'm afraid if the police beat me in by the square. Let them beat me, much of them go lock up.
See the freedom that we have, people die for it. This freedom and come by somebody waking up a morning and say, boy, I think that Trinidad and Tobago is a nice place, and you know, let us just see, get rid of slavery and let us just make things nice for Trinidad. People die. The same Payol and them. My grandmother was French Creole, right? My Portuguese. And let me tell you something. I learned to fight.
You had to fight
from these people. If I depend wholly and solely on people in my community. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, we are going to make it.
We still eating stone, and it seems as though when I was coming from somewhere down on that side, I saw a red hill like it have a sand quarry or something. I see everything red. Right.
That's why.
You know when people get serious? You see when you see the whole of the village going up with shovel and digging. And when they say, look, we're going to fix a road, they say, no boy, we going and make a sand soup today. We're going and blend that soup today. Then people will understand what this government
But
will do.
I believe sooner or later that people won't get it and we will know. Victor,
Thank you very
I
much
want
for
to
your
talk and keep
contribution,
you back.
brother. Yeah.
Yes, you and me, we have to.
So, Chairman, we ready for you on the front table? So, ladies and gentlemen, the moment that we all of us was waiting on, it's here. My good friend, my brother, my fighter in this part of the island, he was just behind and was talking and nobody seen him, but you're on the front line here now. So I want to welcome Chairman Henry Awong to the front table of facts, not fiction. And I want to also tell him that the pleasure is ours by having him on this program together with all those individuals who have spoken thus far. We want to thank you for allowing us, Henry Awong, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Victor, my friend in struggle and fighting for betterment of the people. I want to welcome you here as well, Facts Not Fiction, to the community of Los Atajos. But I'm extremely proud to the point of being emotional when after I listen to my fellow villagers speak here tonight. You know, Maria, Clyde, DK, Simbonet, Jean-Marc, you know, really good, and I'm so proud of them. Some of them for the first time that come on a program like this, you know, and express themselves in such a way as to how they can better the community of Los Atajos and environs. So I'm extremely so delighted for that and for the opportunity for them to speak. Because most times they hear us. You know what I mean? And the people need to hear the people themselves within the communities. And I think the format that Facts Not Fiction have taken now is one that will bring great results. You know, because I know last week you were in Cedros, I think. Right? And now you are in Los Atajos.
Friday we'll be somewhere else.
Friday somewhere else, rural. I just refer to Los Atajos and places like Brasa Bernardo as rural of the rurals. Because today I took Archie up for a drive up in Brasa Bernardo, and we were by the school, the Brasa Bernardo Government Primary School. We were hearing some red howlers in the background while Archie was doing the filming and so on, but we captured some of them on his tape. Because we also visited the weather tracking station on the hill there, and he was very impressed with that particular site, because that is one of the places of interest within this part of the constituency of Tabakit. We have Clyde with the Cocopaniol Museum, and then we have the weather tracking station up the road, which is another place of interest within this area. But Victor, I want to back up a little bit and give you all a history of my involvement in politics.
Beautiful.
I'm from someone who actually born and was raised right here in the community of Los Atajos. Right here. No one thought in Los Atajos, not even myself, that one day someone from Los Atajos here can rise to the point that he became the chairman of one of the largest regional corporations in Trinidad.
I think I deserve to give ourselves a round of applause.
One of the largest corporations in Trinidad.
Chairman, I heard a story from you in a political meeting where you actually started your political career. No, it didn't start in the UNC, and I found that to be a very interesting story.
Very good. I'll give you that story in a little bit. So to come from here, rural of the rurals, grassroots to the core, as you must say about many times, Rastafari. Right? I want to sound like Heinz, but coming from right here and move to the point of becoming the chairman. But I want to thank a lady, a special lady, before I start my discourse, a lady named Kamala Prasad Bisasa, for seeing the potential in me and allowing me to serve as 3 terms as the chairman of that corporation. Good. 3 terms. Nobody have done it before.
Good.
Nobody have done it before. I'm serving now 20 years as a councillor. 5 of those 20 years was as the vice chairman, and now 9 years as the chairman of the 2nd largest corporation in Trinidad. Coming from right here in Los Atajos, in the bush, right on the back here.
Yeah.
Right? My parents and grandparents and so on come right in this piece of land right here. Actually, we are in the Henry Awong Activity Center because we made this space available for the center, so they choose to name it Henry Awong Activity Center, right? Where we are now. But I want to back up a little bit, as she just prompted me to tell you that as a young man, now coming out of school, just like you, I didn't want to hear nothing about politics.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hear nothing about politics and politicians, etc. And I started to get involved in the community, and people like Kenneth, and Kenneth is here, my cousin, started to get involved in the community through, we started the Los Atajos Youth Group back in about 1982. The Los Atajos Youth Group, which was one of the most vibrant youth groups in the county of Caroni at that time. And I went on to become a foundation member as well of the Caroni Association of Youths back then. And a number of initiatives was involved right here in the community, sports clubs and football clubs, cricket, steel band. I even bring a steel band here one time, started my own steel band movement here in Los Atajos back then. Right. So I have a history of community involvement, and I graduated into the politics, and I'll tell you how. Everybody in Los Atajos, almost everybody in Los Atajos at one time, I would say, and can probably will bear me out, was PNM. Everybody here in this village. So when my age came, like voting age and so on, you had to go and vote. I said, but what we had to go and vote for? Tell my mother them, what we had to go and vote for? What is voting thing about? Because I'm from school, I went to school on the corridor, St. Augustine Senior. So I come outside, have that kind of exposure to the East-West corridor as well, as a young man. I listening to Bob Marley. I started to read and graduate. I listened to Bishop in Grenada, Walter Rodney in Guyana, then kind of fellas, right? So I kind of have a radical leaning. They're telling me to go and vote. I said, so mommy, who we got to go and vote for? You got to go and vote for Pierre. Yeah. But I watch outside, my road bad. We have no electricity back then. It's no water in this community, no pipe-borne water in this community. None of those things. We have no recreation grounds. We have no community center. We have no street lights and lights, as Shomak would have mentioned. We are telling them, go and vote for Pierre. And they in power. Everybody knows that. I said, my mommy, why? I said, I ain't going to vote no way. I ain't voting at all. I ain't going to vote. But coming through the community involvement and so on, I decided for people like Kenneth and we started to mobilize the community with community activities and some big sports day, etc., etc. I say, here what, man, we need betterment in this community. I take up a pen, paper, and I wrote a letter to the Member of Parliament for Tabakit. I said, Member of Parliament for Tabakit, these are some of the things the people in Los Atajos want. I invite you to a meeting in Los Atajos on so-and-so date, so-and-so time. That Member of Parliament was a fellow named Lizama. Right? He was the Member of Parliament for Tabakit. He did show up to the meeting. Showed up. We had a good meeting right under Leslie House, by Leslie House in the garage. You see Leslie, madam, somewhere. Did I see her? Yes, she's here. Right? That meeting was right, and Nizam came and so on and thing. We didn't get much. We get a little, well, there's those call it, I think, LID. Yeah. Labor intensive program or something, so, right? And we got a little LID in the area and so on, and we didn't get much. But in the meantime, there was a fellow struggling for and on behalf of people, started to come through the ranks as a firebrand politician, a man named Basti Pandey. And I listened to Pandey, he fighting for and on behalf of sugarcane workers, poor and downtrodden, he's the real friend of the barefoot man then. And I decided, here what, man, I'm going to throw my heart in my ring there, politically, because I realized, Victor, and I was trying to tell Shamak, that politics determine so much. Politics will determine the price of bread in the morning.
Yep.
Politics will determine the quality of education your child gets. Politics determine the quality of the road you drive on. Politics determine the quality of health care you will also get in the hospitals. Politics determine all those things.
Most important, politics also determine if you go to prison or not.
Exactly. You know, so I came to that awareness. I said, here, I'm going to get involved in this thing. So we started to mobilize and go around. I started to get involved in the UNC business and thing. And we then move on. Under Mr. Pandey, we didn't get much higher either. I started around that time. Today I'm serving 20 years. I was say that as a member of the Tabakit constituency executive as well. 20 years. Undisturbed years. And I say, boy, continue fighting for on behalf of my community. Because it all started for community. It was never about me. I never went and asked nobody to become a councillor. I was in a place at that time and they said they want back that fella and who we go put? A lady said, look, that fella, they're going to make a good councillor. The man said, yes, put he. That's what happened. I never went and asked nobody. I go on as a councillor in the corporation. In 2013, they say, I hear your name calling for chairman. I say, who, me? They say, yeah, your name calling. They say, I'm chairman now, 3 to him now. So I never went. I believe in the biblical story about Jonah and the belly of the whale. Jonah didn't want to go down the road and preach.
Yeah, Nineveh.
The whale told him and spit him out down the road.
Yeah, down the road.
So I was destined to be here. That's how I see it. Purposeful life. Living a life of purpose like you, Victor.
Yeah.
You understand what is your purpose in this life? And when you understand your purpose, it will drive the passion.
Exactly.
It will drive the passion. So I went about the struggle and so on, and in 2010, when the People Partnership came in power, we started to see some difference in this area. Jean-Marc mentioned it. We started to see some difference in this area. Victor, I remember, and John alluded to it as well. Before that, PNM in power. And when PNM in power, there's something called, you must know it, called rural neglect. There are a history of neglect in rural communities. There have been over the years since when. Some of us forget what Telemark Road used to look like before 2010. No? Throw your back to Telemark Road. That's the hill you came up before 2010. Man, you have to go down and take your car walking good. You can't make. Because you have to stop and put in high gear and thing and go down and come up. Yeah, we forget that at times. We forget that. We get good road paved. That road was paved highway standard. It's just the landslide now because of the excessive rain and people cut down tree and fire and thing created some landslide. That road withstanding any tonnage because it was built properly by the UNC. That Telemark Road, including box drains as well. With white lines on the road. We never know about white line in Los Atajos. Road with white line. Yeah. So I wasn't forget those things. Yeah. And the next thing I want to talk about too as well. When the PNM was in power, we used to invite WASA officials to come here to have meetings. Sometimes with somebody's house, sometimes in Brassabeda when the community center, speaking about we wanting pipe-borne water in this village. Because as John alluded to, WASA right down the hill. If from Brassabeda you spit too hard, they fall in a dam.
Yeah.
But we have no water here. A population of about 300 people between the two villages. We have no water. When WASA come, it's not feasible. I never used to understand this feasibility thing. It's not feasible. It's not feasible. It was not about feasibility. It was about the political will to get it done. It was about the political will to get it done. When Rambachan came here as the MP and we met down the road, we say MP, what I think we want here is water. In 2014, proud to say, in 2014, we turned on the first tap with water in Los Atajos. In 2014, under the people under Councilor with Rambachan as the MP. 2014, check how I was just there. We never knew about pipe-borne water. We started a spring right here. Then it had one down the road. We had to bathe and take water from there to wash, etc. from a spring in the community. This activity center here was actually built around that same time too, 2014, by the People Partnership because we saw the importance of such a place in in the community.
Right.
Where we can have skill training, the women then can have the skill training here, learn the cookery and what have you and so on right here. And as Jean-Marc mentioned, right now, Jonathan, he's doing classes with some of the kids here, as he mentioned, right here in this space. This space was created for that by the People's Partnership, by the UNC. This space here was created for that, because we saw the importance of that within a community like Los Atajos. So it was never, Victor, about me, Spence, or Henry, the individual. It was always about betterment for community. And we realized those things through a government that have people interests at heart. The interest of people, the poor and downtrodden, those who are underprivileged. We noted that. We talk about a little bit about the Brasso police station. At one time, the Brasso police station was closed down. Remember that? Yeah. It was closed down. Why was police station closed down? Brasso station was closed down. For years, we walked, we marched, we demonstrated. I walked from Tabakita team. My colleague at that time walking from Caparo, coming up with another team, that's Bundu. I follow them Bundu, a councilor. And we meeting on the station point. And we protesting, media, all kind of thing. Candlelight vigil, light candle, we pray, and budget. You remember there's a little girl in Tabaki named Nisha Sitaram. She was kidnapped, 9-year-old at that time. Rebecca Stogrim from right in Flanagan Tongue in Dabadi Road, murdered right down here. There's a parang murder in Tabakit as well. Forget the young man named in Tabakit, he had murdered a parang fet around that time. That fellow name, he died now, Prakash, that is Brooks. They beating Brooks at will and robbing him until Brooks went and buy a gun to protect his wife, because they planned his wife when she was pregnant. And Brooks went and buy a gun to protect himself and his family. You know, he police can hold Brooks? Yeah. You know that? I will tell you tonight publicly, I went I wrote a letter to the judge and I explained why Brooks buy a gun, and Brooks get off with a small fine. Out of that, I did that. I think I get additional to do it for him as well, the then MP, because we knew what was happening to Brooks, and the Brasso police station closed. You had to wait for police to come from Grand Couva. So we demonstrated and everything, nothing budget. When People Partnership came in government, station. Under Kamla, brand new station built along the road there. You know what happened, Victor? About nearly 2 years now, they closed it back down again. You know? They moved the police and put them back Grand Couva. You know? They repurposed in Brasso. That was the explanation. Repurposed in Brasso. But you mentioned, nothing's happening easier, so people here, we may call on you soon to lend some support, because we need the police station back in Brasso. Yeah. We need our police back in Brasso.
Beautiful.
We need to get up and fight for that. It don't happen just so. Right? Because how it was built is because we protested until we moved the PNM. Only want to build the station, we get rid of all you. Move out. And we bring a new government, and the station was built state of the art. The best station, one of the best quality station with everything in it. State of the art in Brasso. So I'm saying all of that to tell you that politics does determine everything, and we need to stand up. And as Victor said, the patrimony of the country doesn't belong to the government. The patrimony is ours. And they tell us to tell what we are the government. What is the name? Daga. Yeah, they tell us we are the government. But I wanted to share, since we're on facts and fiction, not fiction, sorry, one or two little things here, right? I really wanted to share to show you and to show the general public how my regional corporation, Couva Tabaki Talparo, is politically victimized by not giving us proper allocation. And I just want to draw two references, right? In this present fiscal year, 2022-2023, this present fiscal year, we were allocated $32,321,500 for goods and services. I ain't talking yet about PE, personally, what you meant we had to pay wages and things. I'm talking about goods and services. This was the least amount allocated to any of the regional corporations, boroughs and cities in the country, right? It worked out to be a mere $181 per capita. And per capita means, if you divide that in the population of 178,000, you have $181 to deal with per person. To give them goods on road, fix your bridge, fix your landslip, do all of that. That's what that means. $181. And I want to draw comparison to a PNN corporation, which is the same size as Cuba in the Cuba Tabaqui Talparo as it relates to population. That corporation is Sour Lavantel. Right? Listen to Sour Lavantel. Remember, we get $181 per capita, per person. Sour Lavantel having 14 electoral districts and 14 councillors, just like Cuba Tabaqui Talparo. It has a population of 157,258 persons. We have 178,000 plus. As recorded in the last census, an area of 220 square kilometers. I have 720 square kilometers, right? But in contrast to the Cuba Tabaqui Talparo Regional Corporation, Sour Lavantel Corporation was estimated an allocation of $68,153,000 for goods and services in 2023. That works out to an allocation of $443 per capita. Again, $181. Sour Lavantel again $433. Right? Now, I'm not saying that Sour Lavantel should get less enough. Give me what I deserve for the people in Cuba Tabaqui Talparo. That's what I'm saying. As a matter of fact, Sour Lavantel should get more. But I want what is deserving for the people of Cuba Tabaqui Talparo. Because we deal and treat local government deals with the everyday issues of the everyday man. When you walk out your house in the morning, you watch the truck pick up my garbage. You see that landslip down the road in Tilimac, when that's going to get fixed. You want to know your play park is well cut. Yeah. You want to know the cemetery is well kept. You want to know your sidewalk is clean. You want to know where is offer John, right? You want to know all of that. Those things deal with your happiness, you know? Your level of happiness. When you get up in the morning, you have to go down a road, a pothole, and the bridge broken down as a wooden bridge, and it might collapse anytime. You're frustrated. So give us in Cuba Tabaqui Talparo what we deserve, which is the necessary funding. So, Victor, how are you time going? Yeah, you run after you.
We will, we will run till 8:15. You go ahead.
Very good. So, coming back down now to John mentioned the recreation going and I listened to Jamak. Jamak spoke about the cricket club, which they are doing good. They are playing TCC cricket, coming from right here. They practice right in the back here on a piece of green in the back here. Yeah. Right here they practice every evening, and they're playing at a high level, which is TCC level, central zone, right? And we have some young DK here too, the excellent cricketer. They just go and beat people all about the place and win ball cricket, and they just practice right on the road.
Well, let them prepare themselves because we have a tournament starting in Labrador soon.
Right. So that's the man to talk to. Yeah, that's the man. So they have the natural ability to excel and do much better, but resources. And the reason why we doesn't have a recreation ground here is the issue of available land for that in this particular area. They can at one time and looked at some areas. Will have to move some people if we go there, but that's our work in progress. Right? That's our work in progress. But I just want the people to know in this area that we need to bond together. We need to create opportunities. Maria was well in her delivery as how we can create opportunities. Clyde referred to some because with his thing in Flanagan Town, Clyde, you mentioned that people want to go to the waterfall, Choro waterfall. You want supply of cocoa. I just tell you, yesterday, this morning, I ordered 200 cocoa plants. Right, that I want to cultivate myself, right? So we are wanting a good thing. We need to focus on community and how we can better the community of Glasgow. As well, we must get involved in the politics as well.
Of course, most important because politics is the driving factor to your everyday life. Yeah. And when I hear people saying, "I now voted," I just ask me as well. These people, two things: is either they're mad or they're voters, because the thing that controls your everyday movement, the things that control your everyday decision, the things that control your everyday life, you're not going to take part either to support or to remove. You have to be mad because, you see, I don't know if it's because I was talking to some youths recently, and these youths were saying to me, "Boy Victor, we not voting." I said, "All right. Why you not voting?" "Because we don't get nothing out of it." I said, "Why you don't get nothing out of it?" "Because the MP and them didn't care about we." I said, "So why are they care about themselves?" Care about themselves.
Yep.
If you're not voting because you're not getting nothing, and you ain't getting nothing because the MP didn't care, then why you're in taking a decision to remove the MP?
Yeah.
And how could you remove the MP? You can't buy a gun and shoot him. You can't kidnap him. You have to remove him by vote.
Yeah. But Victor, tell me this. Is it coincidence that some of the most depressed communities in Trinidad have PNM MP and it's controlled by the PNM? Sawa, Lavantil, East and West. Enterprise is a community in the middle of another community, is controlled by the UNC itself, but the village of Enterprise is predominantly PNM, right? And they also depressed. If I had followed my parents and grandparents and them, we'd have been voting PNM, I would be voting PNM. I'll tell you, Victor, we just win this PD now, 2650. UNC doesn't win it now. There used to be a PNM PD. Right. Because of my involvement here and the good support from the people in Lasso here, we just win this PD 2650. Right? If I had continued and we had continued, we would be PNM, according to market, PNM, and we ain't getting nothing.
Let me show you something.
You understand?
Let me show you something. Laborie is one of the richest constituency in Trinidad and Tobago. We provide gas, we provide oil, we provide asphalt. We do it. But Laborie has always been controlled by the PNM.
Yeah.
Laborie is one of the worst constituency in terms of infrastructure, in terms of employment, in terms of everything. And one will ask yourself, well, why from 1956 to 1986, 30 years, 86, NAR came in 1986. The PNM was 30 years unshakable in Laborie. During that period, we had 3 oil bombs, apart from all the resources that we have.
Yeah.
And yet today, you could take a census throughout this country, and I think between Laborie and Lavanti, you will get, well, let me bring it in a language where you will understand. My councillor in Laborie tell me that the Sipa Regional Corporation does pay the most money in all the corporations to clean latrine in Laborie. Latrine in Laborie. But yet still, these people support the PNM to the bone. These people living in plywood structures. These people squatting. When I tell you squatting, Laborie is the home of squatters.
Yeah.
And when I say Laborie, I mean the constituency.
Yeah.
In 2012, the UNC had a regularization program in terms of squatters. In 2015, the first thing Keith Rowley, baldhead Keith Rowley, did was to start to break down the squatters' houses in Laborie. I had to mobilize, and we had to get, at the time, a UNC senator who was dumb for a couple years now, but could talk now about dragon gas. That is Gerard Ramdi, right? We had to get Gerard Ramdi to come down and to do the necessary legal paperwork in order to stop them from breaking the houses in Laborie. On the next occasion, these same wicked, evil, devilish people went back and voted PNM. A little laugh, serious thing. Yeah. We had to get Gerard Ramdi to come and stop the government from breaking the house. Just a few months after election call, and these people went back and voted PNM local and general. That is what they did.
You see, Victor, I just want to tell you something. Right? When I was riding, in the earlier times when I was riding with Pandy, and we used to go to Arangwell's grounds every general election for the final rally, and PNM used to be going up the corridor, on the east-west corridor to Eddie Hart. So one day we met at a point, and traffic and so on, and PNM so on, UNC here and thing. And I was in one of the maxis going up, and a lady watched out and she saw me, a PNM lady. Mm-hmm. And she said, "Oh God, PNM take me Rasta too." You know what I mean? So PNM take me Rasta too. So UNC take me Rasta too. UNC take me Rasta too. So they have a feeling that once you have a certain ethnic composition,
you have to be them.
And we had to break that. You understand? We had to break that. It's not about ethnicity. It's about betterment for yourself and your family and your children and your community. That's what it is about.
But
if I talk ethnicity, we are still be here in Los Atajos without pipe-borne water. You understand? So it ain't about that. It's about yourself, your children and your grandchildren to come, and your community. That's what it's about.
I actually have a video that you will see next time with 2 PNM MPs on my van. And that was in relation to a bridge at the Palo Seco Secondary School that I was highlighting, and they know that some sort of protest action was going to take place. Let me tell you something. When the first a landslide came down in Rancho Quemado, and it covered individual. Person died on the spot. So we was by that house when I get a call and say, the Minister of Local Government up by the bridge and he wants to see me. So I jump in my van, but we had flood at the same time, so I was taking people, because I'm the height of my van, I was taking people through the flood and who we could help and give them the breakfast and so on. When I reached there, that minister asked me, he said, "Victor, what's we doing with them Indian?" He says, "I'm Indian and I know they. What you doing with them?"
It's up on his screen as you speak, so continue speaking.
Right.
Backing up your story.
He said, "Here what? Here what I want you to do. Take my cell number." I say, "Give me it." He said, "Monday morning, call me." He said, "You're going to pay them too much trouble down here." He said, "I'm Indian and care about you." He said, "You are African, what you doing there?" I said, "Indian, I'm Indian, what the hell you doing there?" Excuse the language. He said, "Take this number." He gave me personal cell number. Say, "How we doing? I'm going to start you off with 5 CPEP or 6 CPEP gang." He said, "And we will see how it works from there." I said, "But when I get a CPEP gang now, me have no money to pay people." He said, "Don't worry about that. I will cover you for the first 2 months." I said, "Make it plain." You understand? He said, "Call me and we go fix it." Let me tell you what I do, my brother. Nobody can tell me about PNM. We grew up in PNM house. My father was at the general council in the PNM. Hedridge Barrow used to have meeting under our house. He was the MP. Ian Anthony used to have meeting under our house, and Ian Anthony came after the AC Alexis. Right? AC Alexis married Eric Williams' sister, and from independent he turned PNM. And when they moved AC Alexis, they bring Ian Anthony. And all of them used to have meeting under our house. And let me tell you something, my brother. When I get that offer from the minister, Archie could tell you what I did. That happened Sunday. Monday we didn't have a program. Tuesday we had a program. I went on that program. And I tell that minister that with Victor Roberts' loyalty have no price attached to it. My loyalty first is to the people of this country.
Very good.
Listen, man, some people doesn't like when I talk that, even in the party that we belong to. My loyalty belongs to the people first. And when my loyalty belongs to the people first, and the party is loyal to the people, then I cannot help but be loyal to the party.
True.
But if the party is not loyal to the people, then there would not be any loyalty with Victor Roberts, because people have to realize in this country that without people there is no party. And once a party would not take the time to develop the human resources, to develop humanity, to create opportunities where the young people of this country would be able to be self-sustained and become entrepreneurs and would be able to build a family and mind a family. In the absence of that, what we will have in this country is not only 600 when the end of the year come along.
True.
We will have plenty more murders than that.
True.
Because without sustainability, people will turn to crime. We have people coming out of school, and when they come out of school, after their parents sacrifice and send them to school, go to college, when they come out, they go and look for work in KFC or in a clothes store. I'm not degrading that, you know. But I'm saying, without opportunity for the young people, what you would expect.
Exactly.
And that is why I support the UNC, because the UNC had brought to the table policies that will bring and enhance the ability of the youth. Whether you was not good in the classroom, there were opportunities that you could have been trained and obtain a certificate by your hands. And the government has removed every one of these opportunities. And then to the end of the day, we will hear idiotic Fitzgerald Hines, who I consider as the biggest idiot in national security, will come out and put his thumb between his feet and talk about the UNC. And boy, these people sick, and the people who support the PNM, they have to be sick, because let me tell you why. You can't see the future of your children going down the drain. You can't see the future of your children by the side of the road when the blood running down in the drain. You cannot see the future of your children when Gary Griffith and Rowley say, I support one shot, one kill. It's your children they was talking about. It's not the UNC children. It's you, the PNM children. They was talking about that they support one shot, one kill, because the people who are involved in crime and criminality all over this country, the majority is within the strongholds of the PNM. That is the facts. Yeah. This is facts, not fiction. And they just can't take it because I just give them it real. I always say the truth don't want no clothes. You have to dress up the truth and put lip gloss and put makeup. The truth is plain and real. And in this country, until the people of this country recognize that the enemy to progress is the PNM, the enemy to the future of your child's ability is the PNM, the enemy to the educational sector in this country is the PNM, the enemy to your life and your livelihood is the PNM. And until you could wake up and realize that what is boiling in the pot with the PNM is not coffee, but your destruction is until you will continue to live and your children's life will go down the drain. Any closing remarks, my brother?
Just to note that one of the founding principles of the UNC is equal opportunity for all. And I could adhere to that. I will gravitate towards anything like that, and I will always support that. Right? So thanks again for coming to Los Atajos. We appreciate it. We love all in Los Atajos, and we had a really good evening of enlightenment and ideas, etc. So thanks again.
We will be back. We will be back, because if Archie feel that all the tours and things he make without me today, that he going to escape and boast because you him already, Victor, you come up a little too late, boy, you miss out. So we will be back, because what we propose to do is that we want to take this program into all the areas. We want to give you, the people of the community, the opportunity to speak out, to talk. Don't afraid. When you come to talk on this program, don't afraid to talk. Just make sure what you're saying is the truth, because facts we just deal with.
Not fiction.
Not fiction. And that is our prerogative. We will be moving throughout the length and breadth of this country. And let me tell you something. I'm going in PNM constituency too, you know, because I want them to talk. And I have a policy. I have one policy. People that say, Roberts, boy, when you go in, you have to move with a crowd of people. And when you're doing this, let me tell you something. You, Archie, everybody who sit down here, even that little baby across there, including myself, we have a day to die. And that day would not pass you. You could be on your bed sleeping, you could be on a plane, you could be in the corporation, you could be talking on the mic. That day will come. So I intend to fight for the people of this country until my day comes. That is my position. So I urging you, the people of Los Atajos, to get some fire in all your belly. Don't just sit down and take what's happening for government and for governance, take it lightly. Every decision that a government make will either enhance your life or destroy your life. And you must not be any way whatsoever contributing to your own demise. Stand up, speak out. Let me tell you something. We are in the majority. And if we stand together and we put aside ethnic background, any government who sits in power will have to deliver. That must be our watchword on the streets. Any government who sits in power must deliver. Keep that in your brain, put it in your mind, and make it a reality. Because the future of your children doesn't only depend on the agriculture that you do, or the museum that you build, or the chairmanship in the corporation. The future of your children depends on good governance.
True.
And in order to have good governance, you and I must demand it. I want to leave you with that here this evening. Stand up for what is right. My children, every one of them, I teach my children to fight. Omar is 10 years. And when I go in on a protest, Omar go. Policeman tell me last time, we go lock you up for bringing the child. I say, you could do what you want, that's your right. But I'm teaching my children to fight against the oppression that all you're bringing against the poor people. And he's only 10 years. And let me tell you something. Ask him on his own, Omar, why you won't vote PNM? Ask him behind my back. And you will hear what he will tell you. And that is what you have to do. You see, just like how the PNM does infiltrate the mind of the child, as the baby born in the hospital, and the mommy bring it and tell the daddy, look, it's a boy. He said, let me give him a kiss. And here we doing. Vote PNM. That's the first thing. As the baby come out, you finish a kiss in the baby ears, vote PNM. And from there, that child growing up, just like what Awang was saying, he had to tell his mommy, hey, I ain't voting, because you know what? It's vote PNM. Let us realize that our vote have value. Give your vote the value it deserves. Vote for what is right. Vote for policies. Don't vote for ethnic background. Don't vote because mommy tell me. Don't vote because daddy tell me. Vote for the future of that little baby. You see that little baby there? Even though if you don't have a child, vote for the future of your neighbor child. The sister who was here earlier on, I think she in the kitchen, she speak about, let me tell you what I get from her speech. I get the love that the community used to have. That is what I get from what she said, I get the love that the community used to have. How you used to go by the neighbor to sew a button on your pants. Your mother will tell you, run across there until she sew the button on this pants for you, while your mother making bake for you and the neighbor down there too. When your mother pack lunch for you to carry to school, the neighbor, because here how them used to do it, they would have this week, that neighbor they ironing. While that neighbor ironing, this one preparing breakfast, the next one washing. That is how it used to work in my time. And to the end of the day, when you misbehave, any one of the neighbor cut your tail. Anyone.
Yeah.
And I saw you pass through that.
Let me tell you this. So long ago, Kenneth and we used to go to school together, Brasso, RC. Walking from here, which is about 2.5 miles to Brasso. And you'll have the road workers, which is the Ministry of Workers, working on the road. And you have to acknowledge everyone by name. So here this, I just sing it like a song. Good morning, Mr. Janti, good morning, Mr. Bogda, good morning, Mr. Takio, good morning, Mr. Ratney. And you will pass back, like you know the people, right? Yeah, you will pass back in about an hour again, we got to say the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what, man? If them go home by my parents and say, that boy passed me and watched me in my face and I said good morning. That's the answer. You know? You watch the big man in the face and tell him good morning. But we left here now. I can say, right? Some of the things that happen in the country today, we are reaping the consequences of those little things that we are allowed to drop.
Correct.
The good morning, the manners. Manners make it man.
Correct.
Right? I respect your elders.
Correct.
All those things we are allowed to drop. And children, little kids passing you and watching you and they acknowledging you at all. No good morning. You're cussing you. Right? And you're wondering how we reach where we reach with 600. You know what I mean? And it's a Pierre them problems as well. You know what I mean? But the 600, it had to start from the home as well.
Yeah.
You understand? Because when we grow up, kids will know we can't pass a big person straight on the road. You're crazy. They could give you a cocktail for that.
Yeah, you're getting it.
Yeah.
And that is good. That was good.
Yeah.
I remember, and this is the last thing I will say before I say good night. I know
about 3 hours and last time.
I know Archie has something to say. Yeah. I remember my father and the neighbor had a quarrel. And when I go into school, I pass and watch the neighbor so because my father know quarrel with she. So I pass and I watch the neighbor so. One morning you're talking about. Before I go to school, the neighbor come back by my father who they know quarrel, you know. And say, Mr. Roberts, this boy feel he is man. The boy pass and watch me in my face just so and then say good morning. My father had a way he used to do so. Yeah. And before I go to school, I don't get straight now. And I tell that woman morning about 500 times. You understand? That is how things used to be. But
now
we have to do
these as well like this. That's how we knew that. Yeah.
We have to do what we have to do. Archie, go ahead.
Yes, so next week, Friday, we will be moving into the constituency of Mayaro, specifically in the electoral district of Mafeking. The councillor there is Renel Kisun, and hopefully we'll also hear from the MP, and he will be telling you about the sad state of Point Galeota.
Right.
We have Douglas Politics on tomorrow at 7:30 and press conference at 10:30 on Sunday morning. We haven't determined the venue for Monday night forum as yet.
All right, good. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is where you have it.
And after you close off, I will leave your viewing audience with some pictures, some videos of what we had captured up here in Los Atajos.
You see how you like the hot man heart, boy? You see how you in easy, boy? So, Chairman, anything you want to say before we close?
I'm really good now.
All right. So, we want to thank you folks for coming out here this afternoon. We do appreciate it. And we are honored by your presence. We thank you that allow us to enter your homes via social media and through your homes. We appreciate the wonderful comments. We also appreciate the negative comments that will help us to do better. So in other words, we appreciate the constructive negative comments. And all our haters on the live, we hope that your eyes will be open and very soon you too will be voting against the PNM. God bless you. Good night.
What is that general area referred to as?
Well, if you
they probably actually do exist right around
well, no, not all. Not all. Yeah, but of course the tattoo, the monkeys, yes. We have, is it the ocelot? That one there, yeah. The parrot as well. Yeah. Well, that may not be that color one though, but yeah, we have parrot in this area as well. Well, yeah, we're trying to get rid of those balizik. Yeah, so this is a little play area here. You look down the hill there. So the play area would look like.